Hey, good people. Love you. And Shabbat Shalom. Now, today, we're going to be talking about a real important subject. We're going to be talking about the existence of Yahushua. Several historians talk about several. Today, I want to go over those names. Several people talk about him not existing, but never once quote an old historian that disputed his existence. Now, first historian we're going to be talking about, Cornelius Tacitus. Now, this Cornelius Tacitus existed between 55 and 120 AD. So he was the first and second century historian in Rome, man. He wrote a book called The Annals of Imperial Rome. See what I'm saying? In said book, he talks about not only the existence of Christ, but his death. Talk about Pontius Pilate over his death, and the many Christians he brought together, and those who believed on him. Now, this guy was not a Christian, but he didn't, I want to say, talk bad on Christ. He did talk bad about a belief, calling it a myth, but he do acknowledge the existence of one Yahushua HaMashiach, who you call Jesus the Christ. Second one we're going to be talking about, historian that is, Lucian, son of Simon. This historian was another prominent, Roman historian. And we're going to go over his writing in a book called Lucian Selected Dialogues. And I quote, "The Christians, worship a man to this day, the distinguished personage who introduced their novel rites and was crucified on that account. It was impressed on them by their original lawgiver that they are all brothers from the moment they are converted and deny the gods of Greece and worship the crucified sage and live after his laws." Now, obviously, this guy is not a believer in Christ. He calls him a crucified sage. This is not a compliment, believe me, fellas. But, how you put it? We see another historian talks about Christ. There's several others. The famous Josephus Flavius. Now, this guy was, a lot of people's favorite ancient historian. He got several books, but we talking about the existence of Christ here, we're not. So the ones he talked about on the existence of Christ, these are the ones, or the one we want to focus on. Now, in the works of Josephus Flavius, he talks about Christ's existence. He talks about his death, as well. Talks about his wonderful works. You see what I'm saying? And being so, this Josephus lived 37 to about 100 AD. He would have talked to Jesus' said disciples, who seen and had eyes account on Christ and his works, and several others. You see what I'm saying? Now, obviously, it was several others because they have 500 accounts of Christ coming back after his crucifixion. A lot of people didn't know that. But, yes, it's fairly available. Anyway, back to the point. So, this Josephus had plenty of evidence, plenty of writings on said Christ. Now, for those, you have a lot of skeptics on the point of Josephus' writings. Now, there are several But there's two different, far as in the works of Flavius Josephus on the writings of Christ, there's two different works. But both of them are virtually the same when he's talking about Christ. So there's no need to question whatever was going on here, you know. And no, Josephus is not a Christian. You'll see in his writings, you'll be able to tell, you know what I'm saying? And he is questioning mostly everything as it goes because, of course, he's a historian. So he want to make sure his works is one of those. So, yes, another historian that talks about Jesus. Another famous historian that talks about Christ, Pliny the Younger. Now, Pliny the Younger, sheesh, he was a vicious animal. I mean, well, human being. But this guy, he killed people who worship Christ. He killed them to try and get them to admit that they don't worship Christ, or they're no longer worshiping Christ and they rather worship the gods of Greece. Now, most died at this state. Man, Christ didn't exist. That would be crazy for as one Pliny the Younger understanding he exists, but not one that recognizes him as a God, and killing those that do recognize him as God, and those that decide to recognize him as a God and die for it. I don't think, you know, if I think somebody didn't exist, that I'm ready to die for it. I'm like, not to ruin nothing. But that's beside the point. The point is that they understood his existence, Pliny the Younger in his writings, as well as those that died for him. Now, some didn't. Obviously, some denied him as being God and say, no, I don't want to worship him, and go on to worship Greek gods because they were scared of, you know what I'm saying, the penalty on which he was doing. Because he wasn't just killing them, he was torturing these people. See what I'm saying? Which was a bad thing, a bad account on his. But nonetheless, not many Christians will give an account of this guy because the vicious and wicked stuff he was doing. But there's another historian who wrote on Christ, Celsus. Yeah. Celsus, The True Doctrine. It's another one where he wrote on Christ. Now, this guy is funny because he write, you know, on Christ's miracles, saying that Christ got his miracles from the time he went to Egypt. And in Egypt, he came back with understanding on how to do certain miracles, on how to feed 5,000 with 2 fish and, you know, 2 loaves of bread and things of that nature. And he said that it wasn't miracles, but just smoke and mirrors. Now, the funny thing about it is, shoot, 5,000 people got full on smoke and mirrors. Never heard of such a thing. But, you know, getting back to it, Celsus, understanding what he wrote in another book, he recanted this writing and say, oh, he didn't do miracles. You know, just another one of them things that happen when you get caught up in talking about the truth, the way, and the life. See what I'm saying? Yahushua Mashiach. As we see, there are several accounts. You see what I'm saying? But not done yet. There's Gauls Tranquillus. Now, this guy also writes on Christ. You see what I'm saying? Nothing very significant, but just his existence because he was a historian. And most historians is going to write on a historical figure, such as Christ being as though he existed. Now, you know, another historian, several, I want to talk about 2 that debated, Thallus and Julius Africanus. These 2 went on to debate, and this was around 37 AD, I want to say, prior to that, I believe it was 30 AD, if I'm not mistaken. They have a debate on whether the day of Christ's death, what happened was an eclipse or a miracle, because it got dark as you read the Bible on that day. So they understand that these things happened. He was crucified and it did get dark, rather. So we see several historian accounts on a lot of miracles one in Jesus' time, and you see what I'm saying, and Jesus existed, period. So there's no need, to sit back and wonder. You can find out for yourself. It's too much information on the existence of Christ. You see what I'm saying? From biblical account to non-biblical account. Plenty of people that talks about his existence, whether they're atheists, whether they're Christian, whether they're Jew, whether they're Muslim, whether they are whatever the case might be. If they're a historian of the past, they're talking about the existence of Christ and that it is true. You see what I'm saying? So thus far, there's no, wonder in my mind whether he existed or not. And, you can do it, for yourself. You can find these things out for yourself. You can research these things for yourself. It's quite simple. You know what I'm saying? You don't got to take people's word for it as most do. It's funny, real funny, how most people just take people's word for it. I mean, be serious with you. It's too easy to find this information out to this day time to be sitting back and just taking people's word for it. I mean, you can go anywhere with it, libraries, certain Google researches, obviously Google is not the end all, but certain Google researches. Now, I challenge you to find an historian that debated against Christ's existence from the past. Not new, because this saying of Christ's existence is fairly new. This is a 19th century saying, which is the 1800s, saying in which people first started talking about Christ didn't exist. In the past, it was quickly shunned because of being ridiculous. You see what I'm saying? They could pull up all types of information, a lot of information that have been lost, that we don't have today, but we still have plenty, enough to say Christ existed. Now, this stuff going to eventually slowly start going away, but right now, we have plenty. Now, I urge us all to get out there and find out our past, find out how rich it is, especially being black here now. One person in history, a lot of people that don't like, Hitler, he would go on, to say that America stole God's great Jews. He calls Jews, saying we are the Asiatic black man, the original Jew, or Hebrew Israelite. You see what I'm saying? I mean, you can see these things in Time Life magazine called The Nazis, in which, he gives these accounts. This is not a writer, these interviews of him, table talks with him, several things that he gives account of these things. So, and also, you have several Bible scriptures that will back certain things up on this history. So this is why I feel as though I feel, because I do research and I look, I find, I write. You see what I'm saying? I buy books, on matters. And, just trying to get a clear understanding. I urge us all to. And hopefully, this message finds you in peace. As always, I want to say, y'all bless and Shabbat Shalom.